Because this method continues to grow your money even when the market tumbles. It lets you take back control of your money and finances. And it gives you penalty-free access to your savings. Plus, it beats the pants off any 401k or IRA. These are uncertain times, so get the information you need today to guarantee your retirement security. To get this free report, go to bankonyourself.com right now. That's bankonyourself.com. bankonyourself.com.
We have reached the age where things just cost more.
Cars, phones, life insurance.
Your blood pressure is up.
Your weight is up.
You're one to talk.
I have type 2 diabetes, so I'm getting dinged just like you.
Thank goodness for Big Lou.
Big Lou!
Big Lou can get term life insurance rates for a 50-year-old male with type 2 diabetes or high blood pressure, or maybe he's on anxiety meds for just around $200 a month for $1 million of coverage.
Oh, you got to say that again.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll say it. Big Lou and term provider could get a 50-year-old man, a little dinged up, $1 million in life insurance for around $200 a month.
Call Big Lou.
Big Lou!
He's like you. 800-529-2856. That's 800-529-2856.
Don't put it off. If you're overweight, diabetic, have high blood pressure, you gotta call Big Lou.
Gotta. 800-529-2856.
Write it down.
800-529-2856.
July 7th is National Dive Bar Day, a day to order a Seagram 7 and 7 and celebrate dive bars. That's it. It's simple, like a dive bar. And now, a sound effect of someone mixing a 7 and 7. Wow. If these ears could taste. July 7th is National Dive Bar Day. Order a 7 and 7 on 7-7. If this is your holiday, Seagram 7 is your whiskey. Please drink responsibly. Seagram 7 Crown Blended Whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume. The 7 Crown Distilling Company, Norwalk, Connecticut.
The following program, the Rewind Sports 60, is sponsored by Jerry Riles and, to the extent applicable, his guests. The views and opinions expressed therein do not necessarily reflect those of NewsWeb Radio Company or its management.
The Rewind
Sports
60.
From the city of big shoulders, the jewel of the Midwest, comes a sports show that's one of a kind. From iconic players to iconic stadiums to iconic teams, this is my kind of town. Chicago! And the Rewind Sports 60 is my kind of show. From Air Jordan to Sweetness to Papa Bear Hallis, this city works hard, but plays even harder. Danny Carlino and Jerry Riles bring you the Rewind Sports 60. Live. The Rewind Sports 60 starts now.
The ball! That ball hit hard, deep, way back. He looks up, you can't put it on the board. Yes!
Hell yes! Tell him, Hawk Harrelson. Hell yes! White Sox fan, it's a White Sox winner there over on the south side. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Rewind Sports 60. We're broadcasting live from the illustrious studios of WCPT 820 AM in the beautiful, beautiful city of Chicago. This is the Rewind Sports 60 in Jefferson Park. Streaming live on Facebook Live, the fastest hour in sports conversation here in the greatest city in the world, Chicago, Illinois. And ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to get to. There's a lot to get to. If you want to be a part of this fantastic show, the fastest hour in sports conversation, our number here is 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. And you White Sox fans out there, you know what? Actually, Cub fans and White Sox fans, and if any of you out there have a sister, I know you love her to death. But as you know, the old saying goes, a tie is like kissing your sister. And these two teams, the White Sox and the Chicago Cubs, I don't know why I said Chicago Cubs, but the White Sox and the Cubs, for some reason, they always square off against each other and they always match each other. 4 games this season. 4 games against each other, 2 on the north side, 2 on the south side, and what do we have? A split. So for 2019, Cub fans, Sox fans, it's like kissing your sister. It's like kissing each other. They split the series. No bragging rights. So now what? Unbelievable. Let's get to our esteemed panel, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe he should have been on the mound at Guaranteed Rate Field, waiting in the bullpen for Joe Madden to come on out, help Kyle Hendricks, help the bullpen. But no. He's in the studios of WCPT. He's the marvelous one, ladies and gentlemen. He's Dan Marver. What's up, Marver?
Oh, it's great to be here. Cub Sox, it's always exciting. It was a great game today, 3-1, perfect weather. Abreu and Jimenez were the key, of course, and as that went on. So, the funny thing, I noticed one thing interesting. They had the Shays took the day off for Comcast, and Dempster was the color analyst.
Yes.
And a bit of trivia: did you know that Dempster was sent to Texas for Hendricks? That was actually how the Cubs got Hendricks, and I was surprised he never mentioned that.
Wow.
So
how was his delivery? How was it?
Well, I thought that he tried to be more funny because he kind of was a humorous type when he was playing, but he played it pretty straight.
Yeah,
I thought he did good analysis and such.
Yeah, he does a pretty good Harry Carey impersonation,
Right,
doesn't he?
He does, but that didn't happen either.
Hey, no, he's all business. He said Len Casper gave him a good bit of advice. He said, hey, listen, if you don't have anything to say, don't say it. He said less is better. Less is better, which is actually true. And sometimes some of these announcers, they believe they have to fill time to give the audience, a part of their personality. We understand that their personality. There's no question about it. But sometimes they say a little bit too much. Instead of like Vin Scully with the Dodgers all these years, painting a picture, letting the atmosphere dictate what's going on.
Silence is golden.
Exactly, the theater of the mind. But some of these guys think they have to talk and ramble. It's like, hey, we can see what's going on, dude.
So what do they do? Does the Crosstown Cup go to who won last year when they tied this year?
Do they what? Do they what?
I mean, do they give the cup to the team that won last year gets to keep the cup, right? When they tie?
It's unbelievable. It's a good thing, but it's almost nonsense.
Yeah.
And I do believe when they first started this thing, it was kind of like an off day when they first started playing against each other many moons ago. Yeah. But we'll get an opportunity to talk about that, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, you got to love this guy right here, folks. Sometimes you may see him on 95th Street on the South Side. Other times you may see him on Dempster in Skokie. Or maybe you'll see him out in LaGrange. Or he might just be over there at Navy Pier. Michigan Avenue. I'm telling you, he can be on Ashland Avenue, either the north side or the south side. Ladies and gentlemen, he's on Milwaukee Avenue, Jefferson Park, here in the studios of WCPT. He's the man. Ladies and gentlemen, he is our guy. He's the man on the street. He's Marty B. What's up, Marty?
Hey, good afternoon, Jerry and Dan. It's a pleasure to be here today, and it has been quite an exciting 4th of July weekend.
Oh, it's been fantastic, outstanding, and a little wet, but it's been good, Marty.
Absolutely. And, of course, I thought the celebration on the 4th of July was wonderful, a great tribute to our military, both past history, little present talk, and fireworks were great, and we all had a good time and embraced our wonderful privilege of being an American.
There you go. And, of course, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes this guy's out at the ballpark. He was out at Guaranteed Rate Field at the Crosstown Classic between the Cubs and the Sox. He's our, what did they call Javi Baez again?
Mago.
Oh, Mago! He's Gabe Salgado with our TRS60 scoreboard updates at the bottom and the top of the hour. Gabe Salgado, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Well, I can't say for sure to Marva's question as to whether or not that trophy is going to be going to one team or the other, but they split the 4-game series evenly, 2-2. The White Sox sent Daniel Palka back down to AAA Charlotte. He's just been struggling in the batter's box. But also this week, they elevated outfield prospect Luis Robert to AAA Charlotte. So perhaps we could see him on the big league roster come September.
Well, you know what? I can't remember who I heard driving into the game, but they didn't think that was going to be a possibility that the Sox will bring him up by the end of the season. I don't know if it's a good move or not. It all depends on what's going on with Ricky Renteria's ball team at that point. But it'll be interesting to see getting all these young guys up to play with each other. But I don't know if you necessarily. I don't know. Maybe his numbers will explode in AAA, Gabe, and they kind of would be forced to bring him up. I don't know. I would just leave him and just wait till next year.
I say it wouldn't hurt simply because of the fact that they have so many outfielders. Not only on the roster but down in the farm system as well. And, you kind of want to separate the men from the boys, I guess, heading into next season. Because let's face it, it's doubtful that everybody is going to be that's here this year is going to be here next year.
Yeah.
So it'll be curious to see, how Robert progresses. And like I said, maybe bringing him up in September for a few at-bats wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, you never know. But I just be as cautious as I possibly can because look at what happened right now when if you use the basketball analogy, Zion Williamson already hurt in Summer League basketball. He tweaks a knee. And so, the Pelicans say, hey, you know what? We're going to put him on the shelf. When you have young talent like that, as far as, their projections are concerned, give them as much work as they can down in the minors before they get to the majors, because the major leagues, it's a whole different animal. It's a whole different animal. And you have to be consistent when you're playing in the major leagues as opposed to minor leagues. Not to say that you have to be, consistent down there, but the major leagues is what it is. It is the major league. So I'd be cautious.
Well, and one more quick note: the Cubs go into the All-Star break at first place. In first place, they're a half a game ahead of the Milwaukee Brewers. So once the second half resumes next weekend, that's going to be something to look out for. But the Cubs do own first place heading into the All-Star break.
Yeah, they do. It doesn't say much. It's like again, kissing your sister, right? I mean, come on now. It's. They have some work to do, and Joe Madden alluded to that in the post-game press conference after the 3-1 loss to the White Sox over on the South Side. He said that this team has to play much more better baseball. They have to be more productive as far as offense is concerned and producing runs, and they have to force the pitchers to pitch into the strike zone and not give them the hitters not to give them an opportunity to exploit what they're doing wrong. So. The second half is going to be very, 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 very interesting. Folks, this is going to be a very, very interesting show as well. We want you to be a part of it. Again, our number is 773-763-9278. You got it? 773. Put it in your phone. 773. I got it right here. 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-WCPT. Going to take a short time out. When we come back, we got one of my favorite. You know what? My mother-in-law calls him an all-star sportscaster. He's an all-star sportscaster here in the Chicagoland area. He's my buddy. You guys watch him all the time. We'll get a chance to talk with the man. He said we will get a chance to talk with David Kaplan, the host of NBC Sports Chicago and of course Sports Talk Live. You watch him every night. Oh, I get him on 665 on the DirecTV package. Not sure what you guys get on Comcast or anything like that. But David Kaplan will be coming up to talk about the Crosstown Classic over at Guaranteed Rate Field. And, of course, we'll talk about what happened a couple weeks ago over on the north side. And then what happened this weekend. 4 games. 2 here, 2 there. It's like kissing your sister. Marvelous one.
I think they Cubs get to keep the cup because they won the series last year. Isn't it funny that the 2 games that Giolito started, the Sox lost, and the 2 that Nova started, they won?
It's unbelievable. We'll talk to David Kaplan about that, but it's unbelievable. Giolito is just mowing down everybody. He gets to the Cubs, and they kick his butt. This other kid?
That's too bad the Sox aren't in the Cubs division. They'd be 3 games out like everybody else.
Unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short time out. Lock it in. Dave Kaplan coming up right after this short time out. This is the Rewind Sports 60. Yours truly, Jerry Riles. The man on the street, Marty B. The marvelous one, Dan Marver. And, of course, Gabe Salgado coming up with TR60 scoreboard update. Much more coming up right after this short time out. Keep it locked in.
You're watching the Rewind Sports 60. Go Bucks!
It's the end of the quarter. Time for a break in the action. The hottest sports panel in Chicago will get back to the fast-paced action, streaming live on Facebook Live. We're back at it after this quick timeout. So don't you dare touch that iPhone, Android, iPad, Mac, or PC. Lock it in.
The Rewind Sports 60 is brought to you by the Liquor Barn, located in Wheeling and Niles. Stop by 287 East Dundee Road in Wheeling or 8170 Gulf Road in Niles for all your wine and spirits needs. The Liquor Barn, located in Wheeling and Niles. And remember, tell Marcel and Tom in Wheeling that the Rewind Sports 60 told you to stop in and say hello. Mention a Rewind Sports 60 and receive a free gift.
Go, Ella!
Way to hustle, Jan.
Our daughters live for sports.
Hey, their dentist told them your smallest piece of equipment may be your most important.
Now they always wear mouth guards.
Yeah, mouth guards help protect against broken teeth, head injuries too, like concussions.
All from a little mouth guard.
They're small, but mighty.
Just like our kids.
Talk to a Chicago Dental Society dentist. Visit cds.org/mouthguard. Sponsored by the Chicago Dental Society, aired in cooperation with this station.
The Rewind Sports 60 is brought to you by Serenello's Ristorante Italiano. Inspired by his travels and passion for Italy's culture, executive chef Michael Bonner has created a broad menu of Italian fare, utilizing the freshest ingredients to create the fullest flavors to bring homemade, handcrafted pizzas and pastas, as well as prime steaks and fresh fish dishes to the table. Feel the energy while dining in a casual and rustic setting. Dine at natural reclaimed wood tables surrounded by inviting darker woods, exposed brick beams, subtle filament lighting, and accented with muted chocolate and caramel tones throughout. An impressive 50-foot bar lines an entire wall with seating for all. The perfect place to relax, eat, and drink with your family and friends. Serenello's Ristorante Italiano is located at 601 North Milwaukee Avenue in Wheeling. Tell them the Rewind Sports 60 told you to stop by.
Hi, I'm Liz Nicholson Sullivan. As the wife of a 9-year NFL veteran suffering the long-term effects of untreated and undiagnosed head injuries, I know how dangerous concussions can be. The Concussion Legacy Foundation is a nonprofit dedicated to keeping kids safe in sports. Their Team Up, Speak Up program teaches kids to speak up to a coach or athletic trainer if they think their teammate might have a concussion. Whether you're a parent, coach, or athlete, you can make a difference. Join me and sign up at teamupspeakup.org.
The Rewind Sports 60 is sponsored by Bazaar World. Stop by Bazaar World in Niles, celebrating their grand opening with a huge sale. Hats, gloves, belts, rings, bracelets, necklaces, and much, much more. The largest jewelry and accessory store in the Chicagoland area. Bazaar World, located at 8526 West Gulf Road in Niles, near the corner of Milwaukee and Gulf. Bazaar World in Niles. Stop in and say hello to Alex. Mention a Rewind Sports 60 and receive a free gift.
If it's Chicago sports you want, you're in the right place.
Hello, Chicago!
The Rewind Sports 60.
That's the best in the city of Chicago.
Welcome back to the Rewind Sports 60 live with the best sports panel in Chicago. Lock it in.
Got a guy that doesn't run on a ball off the wall and he's standing at first for me, and I love Javi. He would not be in the lineup tomorrow night. That would send a message to the entire locker room. Guys, I'm through screwing around. He's out for a night. I'm telling the media why. Because he didn't run. It's happened too much, and it's not going to happen again. I am not going to go down and lose my job with guys not playing the game the right way. I'd be really pissed off. This team is going this way. At some point, there has to be a level of accountability.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Rewind Sports 60. Yours truly, Jerry Riles, the man on the street, Marty B, the marvelous one, Dan Marver, and, of course, Gabe Salgado with the TR60 scoreboard update. And that man you just heard, David Kaplan, NBC Sports Chicago Sports. David Kaplan went off, as you just heard, the Cubs postgame. I believe they won. They beat the Pittsburgh Pirates in this game, but Javi Baez had hit a shot off the wall. I think it was in right center, and I don't know if he was admiring the ball or whatever, but he didn't get out of the box fast enough, and then he ended up only getting a single off that hit off the wall. David Kaplan, as you heard, went off, and we're pleased to welcome him on our TR60 hotline. He is the one, he is the only, he is the man, David Kaplan, NBC Sports Chicago. Dave, how are you, Cap?
Jerry, I'm doing great, man. And they had lost that game. They had a 5-4 lead when Javi admired that ball off the wall and then ended up blowing the game in the bottom of the ninth inning when Addison Russell made an ill-timed throw to home, and it ended up they lose the game 6-5. So for me, it's not about results. It's process-oriented. And when you stand and admire a ball off the wall, it's not 12-0. It's a one-run game. You need a win, like I said on the show, like a starving man needs a ham sandwich. And you find a way to stand there and you don't get to second base. You're not in scoring position. You don't get the insurance run. Look, nobody's a bigger fan of Javier Baez than me. But you can't be Chris Bryant one week and another guy this week and another guy that week. And, hey, my bad, it won't happen again. And it keeps happening over and over again. For me, there has to be more accountability. That's it.
You know what? And I agree with you. It has to be accountability, but I don't agree with you saying you have to sit the best guy on the team to send a message to everyone else. I know that you gotta leg it out. You gotta hustle every single day. You're getting paid hell of a lot of money. You need to play baseball. That's your job, and you need to execute and play it at the highest level as you possibly can. But I don't agree with you sitting your best player to send a message to the other guys, because he's really, in my opinion, the only guy who's consistently playing for that baseball team.
But, Jerry, it doesn't matter who the player is. It's a message to the entire team of guys. I'm not going to tolerate it. And if you'll sit that guy, you'll sit any guy. Ozzie Guillen told us a story today where he came in the locker room and went off in front of the entire team on Mark Burley. He said, I love Mark Burley. He's one of my favorite guys to manage. He was a great baseball player for us in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
He said, guess what? When I went off on Mark Burley in front of the whole team, everyone went, whoa, that's his boy. If he's going off on him, he'll go off on anybody. And if I allow Javier Baez to stand at home plate, then why is Chris Bryant going to run hard? Why is Anthony Rizzo going to run hard? Why is Albert Elmore going to run hard? Why is Jason Hayward going to run hard? They had a team meeting on Monday night, and that was players only.
Mm-hmm.
They went out, and that team meeting was so impactful that they lost 18-5. The next night, they had a meeting with the manager. He had one of three during the year, one before the season, one before the All-Star break, one before the end of the season, and hopefully into the playoffs. And that night, they talked about cleaning up their base running. And what happened? That night, in a game that they needed to win, they went out and watched Jason Hayward get picked off first base.
Right.
It is one mental mistake after another. I don't care if his name is Bill Baez, Javier Baez, John Smith, whoever it is. If you're not going to do something and it's a mental mistake, if it doesn't get corrected, it's like raising your kids, Jerry. If you keep letting it slide and you get to age 18, it's a little late to ask for the car keys back.
No, you're right. I agree with you. And it's just a hard situation, because for me, and watching this team, Cap, is Javi again. He's the only real consistent bright spot on this baseball team for the first half. Everyone else, like you said, they're either making throwing errors, running errors, getting caught in rundowns, making ill-advised, missing the cutoff man. They're making fundamental mistakes almost game in and game out. And if they're not crushing the ball, long ball, to get a lead, they give their opponents an opportunity to climb back into a baseball game and beat them. And Javi Baez, for all he brings to the table, he's the guy that's going to jumpstart the team. But it seems like it's more than just that. It seems like Joe Madden, because if we can see this, Cap, Joe Madden's got to pull these guys aside, and he's got to put like Ozzie Guillen did, grab him by the collar, maybe, and shake him up. This team is going flat, man. It's going flat, and it's kind of scary. We asked the question during the break. Well, I think this team, as far as the second half is concerned, I think they're in trouble. I really, really do. I don't see these guys regrouping and making a run for it in the second half. What do you think?
Look, they have the most talented team in their division, and for me, it's not even close. When you get Hamels back, which I don't think is going to be a long time, couple weeks, maybe three tops, you go out every day and you have the starting pitching advantage in 98% of the games you're going to play. You got Javi Baez, you got Anthony Rizzo, you got Chris Bryant, you got Wilson Contreras, you have Jason Hayward having his best year as a Chicago Cub. You got enough talent out there. Do I think they need to make a move, maybe to tweak the lineup a bit? Yes, I do. I'd like to get somebody better at the top as a leadoff guy, like a Whit Merrifield from the Kansas City Royals. If you can go make a deal for somebody that's impactful on your lineup and you stay healthy, there is no reason they don't win this division. No reason whatsoever.
So you don't see them fizzling out? You don't see them pooping out or anything like that? You see them getting stronger and maybe catch a 6 or 7 game winning streak here, 7-8 game winning streak there, down the stretch in the dog days of summer, and making a run for the playoffs and possibly the World Series?
I'm not saying that's going to happen. I still think, like you do, that they need to make an addition to their lineup. I think they need a lineup setter, a guy at the top of the lineup to help this team's offense and lengthen that offense. As currently constructed, I do not believe they're good enough to win the World Series. That's just me. Others think they are. I do not. I think they need another bat. I think they need an impact left-handed setup guy so that if you're in the postseason and you're blessed to get there and you're facing Cody Bellinger, Bryce Harper, Christian Yelich, pick the left-handed guy.
Yeah.
I got a lefty for that. And they don't have that guy. Kyle Ryan, much as he tries, isn't that guy. Mike Montgomery isn't that guy. So you have, a crying need for a left-handed reliever, a crying need for a table setter at the top of the lineup, and you've got to get another bench bat because your bench stinks.
We're on with David. Go ahead.
Three things are important. Those are the three things that got to be addressed.
We're on with David Kaplan, NBC Sports Chicago, host of Sports Talk Live, Jerry Riles, Marty B., the Marvelous One.
Yes, I totally agree on that top of the lineup. I'd love to see Whit Merrifield in a Cub uniform.
Yeah, I mean, if you could find a way to acquire him, look, it's going to be pricey. He's got a tremendously affordable contract. He's a really good player. He's an all-star player. However, he's 30. The Kansas City Royals are probably not going to win in his prime years. So if you could give them one elite prospect and a major league player off your roster, let's say it's Kyle Schwarber. I can tell you that I can play Chris Bryant, Wilson Contreras, and let them split left field so that Contreras stays fresh. I'm playing him 2 days a week in left field. I'm catching him 3 to 4 days a week, and then I'm giving him a day or two a week to rest. I'm moving Bryant into the outfield as well 3 or 4 days a week. That gets David Bodie's bat in the lineup or Robel Garcia's bat in the lineup, and you have a chance here. You move Hayward to center to play. Maybe Ben Zobrist is coming back. He'll get some time in right field. Bryant can play some in right field. And I'm adding Whit Merrifield to second base. Well, all of a sudden, I've got myself what I think is a much more impactful lineup.
Hey, Cap, real quick, you bring up Ben Zobrist. Do they miss him? Because he seemed like he's the real spark plug of this baseball team. He's a true professional baseball hitter. He's a disciplined guy. He's great in the clubhouse. Are they missing him? And maybe that's part of why they're having the woes that they've had in the first half?
Yeah, 100% they miss him. They miss his professional approach at the plate, but more than that, they miss his versatility, and they miss his ability to be a huge force in their clubhouse, holding guys accountable. So, yeah, I absolutely think they miss Ben Zobrist in a big way.
And as far as Joe Madden is concerned, a lot of people around town are saying, some of the media types are saying it, definitely their fans are saying it, that, he's on the cusp of being fired. And we know what Theo Epstein said, that there's going to be some changes taking place when he went on a radio rant about a week or so ago. Is Joe Madden on the hot seat? We know this is the last year of his contract. Is he just biding time and trying to get out of here? Or what's the inside scoop from what you know?
Yeah, I don't think he's looking to get out of here. I just think Theo and Jed felt like this team's underachieved the last couple of years since the World Series. They are holding everybody accountable. You haven't seen any of these massive extensions except for Kyle Hendricks. And I think they look and say, Joe, we want things done differently. If things are done differently, we'll extend your contract. But this team right now is underachieving. 4 games over 500. They're in first place simply because they're in a division where everybody's playing poorly right now.
Right.
But, again, the Chicago Cubs have more talent than they've shown so far.
They certainly do, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the second half. But last question before we go, and again, we're on with David Kaplan of NBC Sports Chicago, Sports Talk Live, courtesy of Autograph One. We got to get that in there. We got to get that in there. If for some reason, because I mean, baseball is baseball, sports, everything is crazy. If for some reason this Cub baseball team just can't pick it up, Cap, and they miss the playoffs again, Joe is out, who do you think the next skipper will be for the Chicago Cubs moving forward?
Joe Girardi. I do. I think this is a guy who fits with what Theo and Jed want to do. I think he's disciplined, and maybe they'll feel, as they did in Tampa, things have gotten a little too loosey-goosey, and they'll bring in somebody with a little more structure. not him, it'll either be Mark DeRosa, David Ross, or Mark Loretta.
Yeah, those are very good candidates. There's no question about it. I've been touting for Joe Girardi day one. I know what happened in New York with the Yankees. I certainly know what happened in New York with the Yankees, but he is definitely a baseball mind and something that Cub fans would definitely embrace on the north side.
Oh, before we bid farewell, Dave, just want to mention I talked to Coach Dave Weber, who I know is one of your favorite guys, and I told him you were going to be on our show, and he said, Marty, please extend my very, very best to Dave.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Dave Weber and Bruce, that whole Weber family. Quality people. It's been a pleasure being with you guys.
Well,
we love having you.
Cap, you're a quality guy as well. Love what you do every single night, and my mother-in-law loves you. She said you're a world-class. You're a superstar sports announcer in the city of Chicago, my good friend.
Tell your mother-in-law she is a great woman. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dave. Keep up the good work, and hope to see you soon. Love to get back on the show with you coming up in the near future. Okay, my friend?
Look forward to it.
You're the best, buddy. Take care. Keep up the good work. Dave Kaplan of
bye-bye.
NBC Sports Chicago joining us on the Rewind Sports 60. Folks, it's the fastest hour in sports conversation. Jerry Riles. Dan Marvel, the marvelous one, and, of course, Marty B, the man on the street. We're late for a TR60 scoreboard update. Gabe Salgado, take it away, man.
TRS60 Sports Update.
It's sponsored by the Monster Education Foundation. The Cubs took Game 1 at Guaranteed Rate Field last night, but the White Sox got payback today thanks to RBIs from Jose Abreu and Eloy Jimenez to win Game 2 on the south side by the score of 3-1. So the Cubs post a 2-0 record against Lucas Giolito this season, while also going 0-2 against Ivan Nova. Both teams now head into the All-Star break and will resume the season next Friday. The NBA and NHL have begun free agency this week, and both Chicago teams were busy. The Bulls' big free agent grab so far has been forward Thaddeus Young, who signed a 3-year deal worth $41 million. They also brought back guard Ryan Arcidiacono on a 2-year deal. And the Blackhawks picked up an insurance policy behind Corey Crawford by inking goalie Robin Lehner, a former Vezina Trophy winner, to a 1-year contract worth $5 million. The Blackhawks will have their prospect camp coming this month, but right now the Bulls are in the midst of NBA Summer League, where they take on the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight and are already 1-0 after defeating the Lakers Summer League squad on Friday night. And last night, the Chicago Fire lost to Sporting Kansas City on the road, 1-0. This update is sponsored by the Monster Education Foundation, MEF, empowering the next generation of leaders. And don't forget to check out the Monster 5K Run and Walk this fall. Go to monstereducationfoundation.org to learn more. I'm Gabe Salgado for the Rewind Sports 60 and WCPT 820, Chicago.
You're watching the Rewind Sports 60. Go Illini!
It's the end of the quarter. Time for a break in the action. The hottest sports panel in Chicago will get back to the fast-paced action, streaming live on Facebook Live. We're back at it after this quick timeout. So don't you dare touch that iPhone, Android, iPad, Mac, or PC. Lock it in.
The Rewind Sports 60 is brought to you by Serenello's Ristorante Italiano. Inspired by his travels and passion for Italy's culture, executive chef Michael Bonner has created a broad menu of Italian fare, utilizing the freshest ingredients to create the fullest flavors to bring homemade, handcrafted pizzas and pastas, as well as prime steaks and fresh fish dishes to the table. Feel the energy while dining in a casual and rustic setting. Dine at natural reclaimed wood tables surrounded by inviting darker woods, exposed brick beams, subtle filament lighting, and accented with muted chocolate and caramel tones throughout. An impressive 50-foot bar lines an entire wall with seating for all. The perfect place to relax, eat, and drink with your family and friends. Serenello's Ristorante Italiano is located at 601 North Milwaukee Avenue in Wheeling. Tell them the Rewind Sports 60 told you to stop by.
Hi, I'm Liz Nicholson Sullivan. As the wife of a 9-year NFL veteran suffering the long-term effects of untreated and undiagnosed head injuries, I know how dangerous concussions can be. The Concussion Legacy Foundation is a nonprofit dedicated to keeping kids safe in sports. Their Team Up Speak Up program teaches kids to speak up to a coach or athletic trainer if they think their teammate might have a concussion. Whether you're a parent, coach, or athlete, you can make a difference. Join me and sign up at teamupspeakup.org.
The Rewind Sports 60 is sponsored by Bazaar World. Stop by Bazaar World in Niles, celebrating their grand opening with a huge sale. Hats, gloves, belts, rings, bracelets, necklaces, and much, much more. The largest jewelry and accessory store in the Chicagoland area. Bazaar World, located at 8526 West Gulf Road in Niles, near the corner of Milwaukee and Gulf. Bazaar World in Niles. Stop in and say hello to Alex. Mention a Rewind Sports 60 and receive a free gift.
Basketball, soccer, hockey.
When it comes to sports, my son is all in.
Football.
He always wears his mouth guard.
Lacrosse.
His dentist said the right mouth guard helps protect against broken teeth and head injuries.
Skateboarding.
Like concussions.
Ooh, wrestling.
Ask your dentist which mouth guard is best for your young athlete and relax.
Bull riding.
A little.
Just kidding, Mom.
Talk to a Chicago Dental Society dentist. Visit cds.org/mouthguard. Sponsored by the Chicago Dental Society, aired in cooperation with this station.
The Rewind Sports 60 is brought to you by the Liquor Barn, located in Wheeling and Niles. Stop by 287 East Dundee Road in Wheeling or 8170 Gulf Road in Niles for all your wine and spirits needs. The Liquor Barn, located in Wheeling and Niles. And remember, tell Marcel and Tom in Wheeling that the Rewind Sports 60 told you to stop in and say hello. Mention a Rewind Sports 60 and receive a free gift.
If it's Chicago sports you want, you're in the right place.
Hello, Chicago!
The Rewind Sports 60.
That's the best in the city of Chicago.
Welcome back to the Rewind Sports 60 live with the best sports panel in Chicago. Lock it in.
Yeah, the first round of at-bats were actually pretty good. It's the first time through the batting order. Then we just stopped doing that. You got to give Nova some credit. Obviously, he's always pitched well against us. So I thought he got better game in progress. We didn't have the same at-bat, and then they were able to hold serve there. We just could not muster up the offense. I thought Kyle.
You thought Kyle what? You thought Kyle what? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Rewind Sports 60. Yours truly, Jerry Riles. The marvelous one, Dan Marver. Marty B, the man on the street. Gabe Salgado, TR60 scoreboard update. That was the voice of Joe Madden, the manager of your Chicago Cubs. Unfortunately, your Chicago Cubs couldn't get it done to take advantage of the White Sox and get the sweep over on the south side to get the bragging rights. They did exactly what they did on the north side. They split. One game apiece. 2019, Crosstown Classic. 2-2, ladies and gentlemen. 3-1 winners, Chicago White Sox over the Chicago Cubs. Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, the hits just keep coming. If you want to join us, we're right here at 773-763-9278, 773-763 WCPT. Feel free to give us a call. Ed from the north side will get to your call. But before we do that, we go back out to our TR60 score hotline. And, of course, we welcome in. I love this guy. I love watching him every day as much as I possibly can. And, of course, checking him out on Sunday night. He's a very dapper, good-looking gentleman, dresses very well. He's probably the second best dresser in the city of Chicago as far as sports figures are concerned because, of course, yours truly is number one, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we just have to do that. I just have to say I'm the best-looking guy on television, on radio, or streaming live on Facebook, whatever it is. But this guy is a close second, ladies and gentlemen. NBC's Channel 5. Sports. Are you the sports director over there, Siafa Lewis?
Who knows?
Well, if you're not, you deserve to be. And tell Frank Whitaker is still over there, isn't he? Isn't Frank Whitaker still over there?
Frank is very much still here.
Yeah.
He's at home right now in Naperville chilling, I suppose, but he's still
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Tell him, hey man, you're the new king on the block, man. You got to start flexing some muscles, and I know you got some muscles because I've seen them. Man, the sport coach that you have on, man, the way you look, I'm like, man, I don't want to mess with that guy. He put me in a half Nelson, a full Nelson, and that's all she wrote. Siafa Lewis, NBC 5 Sports. How are you, man?
Jerry, I'm good, man. I was supposed to call you a little earlier than I did, so I apologize. I got wrapped up in some stuff at my desk, but I'm very happy to be on the radio with you.
Let me tell you something.
With you checking in.
No, don't worry. We really appreciate it, and I know you're probably just signing autographs and doing stuff like that because all the ladies love you. Everybody, come on, man. You're the most popular guy in the city of Chicago outside of me and Dave Kaplan. Are you kidding me? Come on.
You're too kind.
Hey, man, what did you think of the Crosstown Classic? 2-2 split between the Cubs and the Sox. They do it over there at Wrigley Field, 1-1. Then they come back here and do the same thing on the north side. And it's interesting because Eloy for the White Sox, Jimenez, he's a Cub killer right now, isn't he? He's just putting the ball out of the yard, and the White Sox get the victory. What are your thoughts on the Crosstown Classic?
So Eloy is the Cub killer, and The Cubs are the Giolito killers, apparently.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I thought both games were kind of microcosms of the seasons the two teams are having. In the wins, you saw the White Sox youth step up and represent and show you just a little bit of what they have in the offing in the future. The Cubs win games because they're supposed to. They're the better team. They have more talent. But just as they won the first game and lost the second, the other time they lost the first game and came back and won the second. They're a very inconsistent bunch, man. They're hard to figure out. Very frustrating.
Yeah, it is frustrating if you're a Cub fan, and the division is there for the taking, but it seemed like everyone in that division don't want it. I mean, they end up...
Nobody wants it. Nobody wants the throne.
No, they either win on the same day or they lose on the same day, and I think it's going to be a long second half, and this is just my thoughts. These are just my thoughts, Siafa, and I think the Cubs, I don't know if they're going to find it. I really don't. They have two, like you said, too inconsistent. The fundamentals are just out of the way. It's just gone. They can't hit the cutoff man. They can't make wise base running decisions. We had David Kaplan on.
Concentration. It's a maddening lack of concentration, right?
Why is that?
So, if I knew that, I wouldn't be talking to you right now to be managing baseball team.
Well, hey man,
I don't get it.
Go ahead.
With the talent and the experience that they have on that team, in addition to the coaching, there's something off. The team that we saw play today and lose to the White Sox. Listen, odds are if history repeats itself, they're going to win 18 of the next 26 or something. They're going to make the playoffs. I fully expect that to happen. I do not see this team as a World Series team. I don't see them beating the Dodgers. I could see them losing to Atlanta. They are not the best team in the National League, let alone in baseball, in my opinion, right now. I don't see it within them, even if they play at their best.
And that's the thing. I don't see it either, Siafa. We're on with Siafa Lewis, NBC Sports, Channel 5, Chicago. I don't see it either. Again, because I see too many guys doing something stupid or not smart or not focusing, whether it's you saw Javi Baez the other night when they blew the lead in Pittsburgh, and he hit the ball off the wall, and he couldn't leg it out. We see just ill-advised play fundamentally on the field, and I don't see them correcting that, even though they're getting this break. Because when they come out of the break, they got the Pittsburgh Pirates, right?
Yeah, they got the Pirates.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Listen, I do think, and historically, Joe Madden's team played better in the second half of the season. So I do think there'll be some course corrections, so to speak. My issue is, what starting pitcher can you count on? I know in a big spot I can count on Lester, but start to start I can't count on Lester. Cole Hamels is probably your most consistent guy, but what's Cole Hamels, 35? I'm shocked that he hasn't reverted back to the guy he was in Texas before they traded for him. I thought that he would come on strong with the Cubs, change the scenery, and then he would fade a little bit. He hasn't, but how long is that going to last? Kyle Hendricks is probably your best starter overall, but even he's not a strikeout guy. He's not a big strikeout pitcher. He can be had, as we saw today, especially if the offense doesn't step up. And Jose Quintana, he's like Ivan Nova. No, he's not that bad. He's like Renato Lopez. He's a much better Renato Lopez.
Hey, Siafa, this is Dan Marver here. I think the team recognizes that. They have 5 guys that have been closers at some point in their career, and if they can get a lead in the 8th and 9th, don't you think that the Strop-Kimbrel combination is what they're hoping for?
That's what they're hoping for, but is that what they're going to get? First of all, you have to get to that point, which they haven't proven they can do consistently. And I understand why they made the Kimbrel move. I think they had to make the Kimbrel move. But he did not exactly end last season on an up note with Boston. People want to forget that.
Right. And he already picked up his first loss as a Cub pitcher by losing it. Yeah.
No thanks to Russell.
And he gave him a couple base runners last night.
Right. I don't get Joe. Maybe Joe feels like he needs work, so he needs to put him in non-save situations, which I would not do with my $13 million a year closer. I wouldn't, but hey, Joe knows better than I. I didn't like him pitching on Monday. I didn't like him pitching yesterday in non-safe situations. And you can see the rust or the lack of consistency. You can see it.
Hey, are you afraid for Joe Madden? Do you think he's
afraid for? No, I'm not. Well, okay, I'm being smart. Because I think Joe's going to be fine no matter what happens. And we don't even know how badly Joe wants to be back here.
Right.
With the lack of confidence that they've shown in him. by not signing him to a contract prior to this season, making him a lame duck.
Right.
And then, Theo saying what he said last year, saying what he said a couple days ago about a massive changes in order if things don't change, if things continue. I mean, does Joe want to be back?
Yeah, because you know what, Siafa, and I appreciate you saying that. I agree with you. I don't know if Joe really wants this because the Cubs, Theo, they really didn't give him much to work with. They hardly did anything during the offseason, correct? They didn't bring him any type of support regarding pitching or closing or a leadoff guy. And so I think Joe said, hey, wait a minute. And of course, we know how they got off to the rough start. What are they, 3-11 to start the season or something like that? I think Joe said to them, hey, you know what? This is what you gave me. These are the cards you dealt me. So I'm going to put them out there. And whatever happens, happens. And we saw the results at the start of the first 2 weeks of the season. And Joe's like, this is what you gave me to work with. So if this is all you're going to do for me, this is all that I can do.
Right, guys, all they did is replace Listella with Descalzo. And
yeah. And so I'm not saying that Theo and Jed set this ball club up to fail because they didn't make any prominent moves. I'm not saying that, but I feel you with Joe saying, hey, you know what? I want to win. I want to manage. We have a good baseball team. But
all Joe has done is win. He hasn't won. I mean, obviously, he hasn't won a World Series every year, but when's the last? Can you think of a time when the Cubs have had a 5-year sustained run like they have this that they're currently in? I mean, we're having a conversation about the first place Cubs.
Yeah.
And the conversation is all negative. Think about that 5 years ago.
Yeah.
They had a good run in 1906, 07, 08.
Yeah. 1945. 45 and maybe 69.
I remember that too.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, before we spring you, and we appreciate you taking some time out to join us on the program. Real quick, let's take a look at our beloved, the Chicago Bears. Matt Nagy threw out the first pitch the other day at the ballpark on the south side. Bear fans are looking for another great season. And, of course, if we didn't have the Doink game, and we don't want to mention anything about that, but who knows, the Bears have an opportunity to advance deep into the playoffs. So with the additions and the acquisitions they were able to plug in as far as running back is concerned and getting everybody prime and ready and healthy for this upcoming season, how do you look at this Bears football team? Can they make another impact? The schedule is going to be tough, Siafa. The schedule is going to be tough. But
the schedule that we're discussing on July 7th is not going to be the schedule they actually play come September, October. We all know that. We always fall for that. Teams are better. Teams are worse than we think. 2-3 months out, injuries occur. So I don't harp on the schedule at this point. Cautious optimism. There are tons of reasons to be cautious. Okay, but it's the NFL. You dodged some major bullets last year by suffering almost no real injuries compared to what we saw the last 3 years or 3 or 4 years prior to that. So the injury thing scares me or worries me. Regression scares me or worries me. And the fact that they caught a lot of people by surprise last year would scare or worry me. So that's why I have lots of cautious optimism when it comes to the Bears. On paper, yes, everything looks like it should be gravy. Like you should be back in the playoffs. And if you've learned your lessons and you have that motivation from last year's horrible defeat, there's no reason they can't be in the NFC title game. However, there are lots of reasons why I think they may not get there.
And that's why
I would just say cautious optimism.
What are one of the reasons why they won't get there? Huh?
Injuries. We've seen coaches come into the league and grab the league by storm, and then the other teams adjust. You're not surprising them anymore.
Right.
Everything Matt Nagy tried last year worked. I can't think of anything that he tried last year that did not work. You and I have both watched enough football to know that that's not how it works out.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And it seemed as if he caught lightning in a bottle and everything worked out in its favor. It's going to be interesting. It's not going to be as much of it may be a little bit more rocky road for this football team moving ahead.
They could even be better and win less
games
than they did last year.
That's true. But I don't want I don't want them going 12-4 and then fizzling out in the playoffs, because look at what New England. Look at what New England has done. I mean, and they're the best team and best franchise in sports. But Tom Brady and those guys, they get off to a sluggish start. But by the week 8, they start putting things together. Eli Manning and the New York Giants have done that over the years as well. They may struggle in the first 4 or 5 games, but then they start putting things together week 8, week 9, and then they make the playoffs. And then, man, you catch lightning in a bottle in the playoffs, and now you're in the Super Bowl. It's so
even more important to me, that first month of September. You just want to escape the first quarter of the season healthy, because those are really the preseason games. Guys don't play preseason football anymore. The first month, that's September. Look, when you get a chance, look at some of the statistical leaders from weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then look at the guys at the end of the season.
Right.
It's very infrequent that the guys who get up to the really hot starts are the same guys at the end of the season who are ruling the roost. Ryan Fitzpatrick, ring a bell? How awesome he was last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it happens every year. You have these teams that go 3-1, 2-1 with a bye week. I guess you have an early bye week.
Right.
No, there's no bye week. But anyway, 3-1, 4-0, and these teams fizzle, man, because that's like the proving ground.
Yeah.
That is your preseason. You really get a sense of who and what a team is in October, November, and, of course, December.
Hey, man, we could talk all day. Chicago Bear football, Chicago sports, man. Thank you so much for taking time out. Hey, Siafa, let me tell you this.
Me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. This is the fastest hour in sports conversation. You and Jeff Blanzy, you guys do a fantastic job on Sunday nights doing the show. You do a heck of a job. But just to let you know, this is the fastest hour in sports conversation, okay, my good friend?
All right.
Hey, Siafa,
thank you so much.
Hey, man, keep up the good work, and we'll talk to you down the road. Give my best to my beautiful friend Marion Brooks over there, okay?
I will do. Marion's number one. I love that woman.
She's the best. She's the best.
Absolutely incredible.
Siafa, thank you so much, man. We'll talk to you down the road.
Okay, guys.
Appreciate you.
All right, bye.
Peace. It's the fastest hour in sports conversation. Let's go on through the phone lines and pick it up with Ed calling from the north side. Ed, welcome to the Rewind Sports 60, brother. Sorry, hey, the hits just keep coming. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I talked to you guys last week. I was talking about Kawhi Leonard. I said I think you ought to stay in Toronto, and I still think he should have. And let me tell you what he's going to try to do. Right now, the Clippers are the favorite to win the NBA championship, and the Lakers are a close second. But what he's not going to win a championship his first year. He did it in Toronto. That was a 1 in a million thing. If you look at the two best players of the last 20 years, Shaquille O'Neal and LeBron James, neither one of them could win a championship in their first year. When Shaq went from the Lakers to Miami, it took him 2 years to win a championship. With LeBron, when he went the first time from Cleveland to Miami, it took him 2 years to win a championship. Then when he went back to Cleveland, it took him another 2 years. Kawhi Leonard is not going to win a championship this first year. I don't care if they make his team the even money favorite.
Well, I don't know. It's hard to say, but they're going to be in the team photo. Doc Rivers is going to have that team in the team photo. With the players that he had on the roster this year, they weren't even expected to sniff the playoffs, and they got into the playoffs. Marvelous, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that he'll definitely help the team. Obviously, I mean, in the East, you still have Toronto will be pretty good. You got Boston and the Nets now. Will be in the picture, of course, once Durant's healthy. But Leonard wanted to be near L.A. I think that's where he's from, isn't it?
Yes.
So I think that's part of the decision.
That's why he wanted to go back to L.A. But still, in all, when you can lead a team to a championship in your first year, I don't see why you would want to leave, because history is against him doing it again.
Yeah, well, money plays a very key factor, and I don't know how much money he could have made, Canadian dollars he could have made across the border, but he certainly could make a lot of money in La La Land playing out there with the Clippers.
Right, he would have made more in Toronto. They'd given him anything he wanted.
You're absolutely right. Hey, Ed, always a pleasure. We got to run, man. It's the fastest hour in sports conversation. Man on the street, what do you got for us, Marty B?
Well, I just wanted to say, Jerry, I can remember that when Kyrie was over there in Cleveland, and we thought that he and LeBron were the perfect blend. But I don't think Kyrie's ego could handle the dominance of LeBron. And I'm wondering if it's going to be the same kind of a situation with him over with the Nets now, with their acquisition of the great player from the Golden State,
Durant.
Yeah, Kevin Durant. That's a very good point, because Kyrie.
I thought about that right away.
He's not, as some people would say, he's not right upstairs. He's not right upstairs. I think when he was playing with LeBron in Cleveland, he was a little immature. I think then when he goes to Boston and he calls out his teammates, and then he calls LeBron and say, "Hey, I understand what you were going through." That's to me, that's not the brightest thing to do.
Well, What I worry about is, when Durant and Kyrie start arguing over who's going to get the ball.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, because Kevin Durant is I don't want to call him a prima donna, but he is a sensitive athlete, and he's going to want the ball. Marvelous, what do you think?
I mean, as far as the Nets are concerned, just like the Clippers, they made the playoffs last year with what they had.
Right.
So, I mean, I think they each will make the playoffs. And again, Durant won't be playing for quite some time. So
right.
I don't know that the Nets will be a factor this year. I'd still look for Toronto, Boston, Milwaukee in particular to be the favorites in the East. And obviously Golden State will still be good with Curry and the Clippers and the Lakers. I mean,
well, D'Angelo Russell too.
Yeah,
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to see. Marty, anything else before we get out of here?
Oh, yes. Just have to congratulate the wonderful performance by our U.S. Women's World Cup 2019 champions.
Yeah, good job.
Oh, what? And like we were sharing earlier, as I watched all the star players on the team, but Megan Rapinoe, I couldn't help but thinking myself, every little girl who aspires to be a marvelous soccer player in her career going to want to be just like her.
Marvelous. Do they deserve to give equal pay just like the men?
We're going to let our soccer doctor take that up.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the fastest hour in sports conversation. Marty B, the man on the street. The marvelous one, Dan Marber. Thanks to our guest, Dave Kaplan of NBC Sports Chicago, Sports Talk Live, and, of course, Siafa Lewis, NBC Channel 5, what is it, Sports Sunday again?
Yeah, Sports
Make
Sunday.
sure you guys check them out.
10:30.
It's the fastest hour in sports conversation. Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks to our producer, Devin Tingle. And, of course, thanks to you. If you missed any portion of the broadcast, check us out on Facebook. And, of course, Comcast, if you're in the northern suburbs, on Wednesday, Channel 17, Channel 19, Channel 35. Gabe Salgado, take it away, buddy.
TRS60 Sports Update.
And a lot happening in international soccer today. Women's World Cup, Team USA. They won the finals today, beating the Netherlands 2-0. They now have the most Women's World Cup trophies all time with 4, and they become the first team to win back-to-back Women's World Cup trophies. Team USA men are in Chicago tonight at Soldier Field, taking on Mexico in the Gold Cup Championship. It's the 5th time that those two countries have met for the Gold Cup title. And Brazil is back on the throne in South America after they defeated Peru 3-1 today in the championship game of the Copa America, winning that for the first time since 2007. This update is sponsored by the Monster Education Foundation, MEF, empowering the next generation of leaders. I'm Gabe Salgado for the Rewind Sports 60 and WCPT 820, Chicago.
The preceding program, the Rewind Sports 60, is sponsored by Jerry Riles and, to the extent applicable, his guests. The views and opinions expressed therein do not necessarily